Podcast, episode 30. We say what we want, whatever we want. I got special guests on today. Go ahead and just introduce yourself, man.
What's going on, y'all? Josh Townsend here. You guys can follow me on Twitter at juice_T23. Up and coming in the NFL industry, working my way to work in the NFL front office one day. So we're doing daily scouting reports for you guys, giving you guys positional breakdowns, the full 9 yards over on the Twitter and with our colleagues at the Draft Professor. So check them out as well. We're giving you daily content all day, every day, year round.
Yeah, as y'all know, we made it to episode 30. It's one of my milestones I wanted to achieve. So, yeah, I'm hitting y'all with somebody major today. So, over here, man, I like to give my guests the Ether segment. Basically, off anything sports related, anybody you not liking, any team you don't like, and anything you just don't like in general, you want to get off your chest.
Mm-hmm. So we all saw how the Super Bowl went down. Jalen Hurts is getting all the praise in the world, played the game of his life. But if you think about it, at the end of the day, this is why the NFL and football is so great. You can go against a Patrick Mahomes. You can go against a Travis Kelce. You can go against a Chris Jones. You can go against an elite interior offensive line. It does not matter at the end of the day. It is 11 on both sides of the ball, and everybody on both sides of the ball got to contribute and work cohesively. That's why the Philadelphia Eagles put that ass whooping that everybody saw on Super Bowl. It's a team game. You can only be so great as your others. Nick Sirianni got a bunch of crap all year for being a lackluster head coach, being a lousy guy, not really a top dog head coach in the world. Well, now he's got a ring behind it. And I'm not a Philadelphia Eagles fan. And is Nick Sirianni a top 5 coach in the NFL? Probably not. But he damn sure got his respect that game. You cannot say anything about that man no more.
I'm going to go ahead and ask, man, are you an Eagles fan?
No, I'm not. I'm a Ravens fan. So it's bittersweet watching all of that. I'm right outside the Philadelphia area. So a bunch of my boys are Philadelphia Eagles fan. Watched the Super Bowl with about 6 of them. So being around that, being a Ravens fan, and just dealing with the Lamar Jackson experience, it got me feeling a type of way.
I'm glad you up here and you in the scouting department. You know what? I want to catch you off guard or anything, so you ain't got to answer. You don't want to. You know when Lamar came in, he was supposed to be he is the Michael Vick of this generation. But you know, as black quarterbacks, they always come in with the stereotype of how scouts always look at them. So how has Lamar changed the perspective, I'll say, or the image of the new generation of black quarterbacks who can throw the ball and run like Vic did in the 2000s? Like, you feel like he changed the game, or what you think?
I feel like Vic and Randall Cunningham were the first ones to do it, but it was the norm. Everybody wanted to be the pocket passer, do those 3-5-step drops, run those NFL offenses the way the coaches have want them to. But guys like Lamar Jackson, Jalen Hurts, Jaden Daniels, Kyler Murray, they have really brought a new element of offense to the NFL. Everything's out of shotgun now. Everything's RPO reads. You're actually using quarterback running ability to an offensive coordinator's strength. Let's be real. As a Ravens fan, when they first drafted Lamar, I'm like, oh my gosh, yes, so excited to get Lamar in the back half of the first round. But the scouts were right. He had real passing issues coming out as a quarterback. It wasn't no black quarterback thing, none of that. Jaden Daniels went number 2 overall this year. I think we can all agree Jaden Daniels was a much better passer in college than Lamar Jackson coming out. But you got to look at the characters of these guys. Jalen Hurts, the exact same thing. 2nd round, 3rd round quarterback. I don't know off the top of my head, but same questions about him and his passing game. Those are Jalen Hurts and Lamar Jackson, both guys. You see that in their developments. Their first year or two, they got their feet wet. They're using their athletic ability as their backbone of how they operate in offense. But if you got the right head on your shoulder and you work hard and you have the work ethic of a Jalen Hurts, of Lamar Jackson, or a Jaden Daniels, you see that continuous improvement. Lamar's always had the arm. Jalen Hurts has always had a solid to decent arm, but that work ethic and those character skills really do show in their development once they get into their 2nd and 3rd year of the NFL.
I'm gonna ask you now that you I didn't know you was a Raiders fan. So what you feel about Lamar? Like, you think he ever? I know these ain't questions. We gonna get to a question. You feel like Lamar ever gonna get over the hump of the championship game, or you think it's always gonna be like he get to the championship game and Ravens just flop?
It's not a question of if, it's when for me. I feel like the past couple of years, Lamar has truly established himself as not just a running quarterback, a full full field threat that can beat you on the deep game, beat you on the short game, beat you on the intermediate game, beat you obviously as a runner. Derrick Henry only helps to that, obviously. I mean, besides Jalen and Saquon, the best backfield duo that we've seen in the NFL in a long time. But I think when it comes to the playoffs, he is so focused on the Super Bowl and the Super Bowl only. We saw when he got drafted, you're going to get a Super Bowl out of me. Believe that. I think he's been pressing for that a little bit too much. He's working towards regular season, getting those really good wins, really good regular season records. But once playoffs start, I don't think he's thinking one game at a time. I think he's always pressing for the Super Bowl, always trying to live up to those high expectations that he has on himself, which is very much warranted. He is a top 2 quarterback in this league. Don't argue me otherwise. But he always is pressing for that Super Bowl. He's not playing one game at a time. What did the Eagles do this year? They played one game at a time. They didn't let the Detroit Lions, they didn't let the Kansas City Chiefs, they didn't let anybody get in their way of their mission. They focused on one game at a time and attacked one play at a time. And if you think about it, it's only been a couple plays that's really set Lamar apart from the Super Bowl the past couple years. But I think he's just always pressing to get to that Super Bowl and not focus on one game at a time. So once that mental maturity gets there for Lamar Jackson and he doesn't give a you-know-what about anything besides the game that's in front of him, you're going to see the peak of Lamar Jackson. That's the scary thing. Should have been 3-time MVP, 2-time MVP. He hasn't even hit the peak yet.
What you feel about when y'all got Derrick Henry? I mean, we know he on the back end of his career. He getting kind of old. You know how it is, especially a big running back. Not different. He was like a LaShawn McCoy, Barry Sanders type build. He wasn't a big, like, Jerome Bettis like quarterback. I mean, running back. So, what's your thoughts on him? Like, when y'all got him, y'all thought Super Bowl. You thought, oh, it's about to open it up for Lamar. Like, what you think about Derrick Henry?
Of course, as a Ravens fan, we thought Super Bowl, but I got to point out 2 things. One, Derrick Henry, we've always known he's been in tip-top, pristine shape. I didn't know he still had that speed left in him. I didn't know he had that home run hinge. I think a lot of us, when we saw Derrick Henry coming, we're like, okay, we're getting a 1,000-yard rusher, 10-touchdown guy, but this is a guy that's going to work those short yard scenarios, get those 5-6 yards, get the yards after. No, he got the burners this year. It threw it back to like young Derrick Henry. I think Derrick Henry kind of lacked that in the last part of his career in Tennessee. He got that back fully with Lamar Jackson. That was amazing to see the all-around burst and long speed with Derrick Henry for a guy that size. And you also got to give credit to the offensive coordinator, Todd Monken. Greg Roman was the guy that ran the ship in Baltimore. Before that, he ran that really run-centric offense. Derrick Henry comes in. The back of our heads as Raven fans, like, we're going back to running the ball 65, 70% of the time. Winning formula, but we saw how Greg Roman's offense limited Lamar's ability to reach the AFC Championship game and beyond that. Todd Monken did an absolute phenomenal job this year, not running Derrick Henry out there on 90 to 100% of the snaps, getting Justice Hill mixed in there, Keaton Mitchell keeping his legs fresh, but also not putting all of it on Derrick Henry. It alleviated Lamar Jackson. It alleviated Derrick Henry. And that's why you saw a guy like Zay Flowers this year get 1,000 yards and get into a Pro Bowl. That's why you saw Rashad Bateman actually live up to what we thought Rashad Bateman was this whole entire time. Opened up for Isaiah Likely, a tight end 2 on our team who's going to get paid this offseason, to really open up and be a true top 15 tight end in the NFL if you think about it. So Todd Monken, the offensive coordinator, and Derrick Henry's ability to just keep going year after year. It was amazing to see.
As a Ravens fan, when it comes to John Harbaugh, you feel like his time, y'all feel like y'all need to move on from him, or y'all go get him like a couple more years?
It's a tale of 2 tapes for me. Obviously, every head coach is going to have their lowlights and their highlights. Think of Mike Tomlin. I mean, he's been with the Pittsburgh Steelers for how long? They've stayed at the 9-8 record. They've kind of stalemated. Yes, you can move on from him, but who are you going to get that's better? You see NFL teams always looking around trying to get the next great head coach. There's always 6 or 7 guys that are always in that hiring cycle every single year, and they're just rotating like fish year in and year out. Nobody's really a mainstay. So, yeah, you're going to have lowlights with John Harbaugh, just like every other head coach in the NFL. But that camaraderie he has with the front office, the owners, how good he is with the players on a personal level, the respect he's garnered, I don't think there's many better options out there. I wouldn't even entertain it until it gets to an actual point where John Harbaugh is hindering the team. I think the players and their mistakes, crucial mistakes, and only a couple mistakes that they make at the worst times. I swear they make the mistakes at the absolute worst times every year. And every year we're like, there's no way this can get worse. And it manages to get worse every single year. That's not on John Harbaugh. Yes, he makes some dumb decisions at times, but so does every other head coach in the NFL. So I don't really see a brighter future at the end of the road if you decide to let go of John Harbaugh.
Now, I know this one of the questions I'm going to ask, but since the Ravens your favorite team, I know you going to know this. What's the position? What this upcoming draft, a lot of people say it's like, I hear some people say it's a lot of talent. Some people say the next year draft or 2 years from now. So this year draft, what do you feel like the Ravens need to go get? Like, what positions y'all need the most?
So for me personally, I would love us to address either left tackle or offensive guard. I don't know if Ronnie Stanley's going to be back. Personally, I hope he's back, but he's going to demand a lot of money. And Ronnie Stanley's dealt with injury history in the past. So I can definitely see us going after our future left tackle in this year's NFL draft. You actually got a good cream of the crop, especially if you get into the later half of first rounds, the amount of offensive tackle prospects that will be there. We'll have our pick and choosing. I also want to go after an offensive guard. Every Ravens fan has been clamoring for an offensive guard for the past 3 years. So those are obvious needs, but I could also see us going after a second linebacker to pair with Roquan Smith, another corner so we can have a trio of Marlon Humphrey in the slot, Nate Wiggins on the outside, and one more guy so we don't have to rotate Tre'Davious White and Brandon Stevens back in. I could see us going after a safety, a Darius Washington, the 5'9" guy, played absolutely unbelievable filling in for Marcus Williams this year, but you can get a true yin-yang prospect with Kyle Hamilton with some of the safeties in this draft class. So I don't think they're that far off, but if Ronnie Stanley decides to leave in the offseason, I think you will hear a left tackle's name get called in the first round for the Ravens.
Y'all don't have a guard. What's his name? Yonder?
Yeah, Marshall Yanda.
Marshall. Yeah, I didn't expect him to retire either. He just retired out that year, I guess.
But think about it. The Ravens has been an organization for 25 years, and how many staples do we have on our team? Ray Lewis, Terrell Suggs, Ed Reed, Marshall Yanda, Lamar Jackson. Yeah, Joe Flacco's not elite, but Joe Flacco won a damn Super Bowl. Like, for a franchise been in the league for 25 years, just compare us to the Jaguars. It is a night and day difference on how teams are operated. We have a very good operation from the head down here in Baltimore.
Doing better than my Browns because they is horrible, man. I don't know what they. This past 2 or 3 years, we supposed to be championship Super Bowl bound, and it's like, dude, we can't even make the playoffs. And then when we made the playoffs, it didn't even feel like we really made it. It felt like we was forced into there because the other teams was having issues. Like, we ain't gonna get into all that.
So I'll ask you. You got the number 2 pick. Every Brown fan has a different opinion. What are you leaning towards right now in February of where the Browns should go with that number 2 overall pick?
For some reason, I feel like the Browns gonna pick up Shador because I just know Cleveland. They got this habit of let's always get the most hyped up quarterback with Baker, Allen, Couch. I mean, we can go hours. Like they always gotta get. So I already know they going for Shador. I just know how they draft. So when they pick up Shador, because I know they going to, it feel like the team just gonna be. I just think he's just not that dude to me. Like, and I don't want to bash on black quarterbacks because I already know how they. I feel like if you go to another team, yeah, you can. But when it comes to the Browns, Shador just not gonna fit in Cleveland. Like all that prime time, Cleveland teams, they more great. So you coming in all that prime time, all that. You see, they ain't work out for Baker. All that flashy stuff, man, that's not gonna work, man. Like, especially you not winning no games. You can't be talking about it's prime time and we 0-8. Like, dude, where? It's downtime is what it is.
You saw it this year with the Bears, number 1, Caleb Williams. He was by far, everybody was like, yep, this is the QB1. Not even going to talk about Drake May or Jaden Daniels even trying to compete to be the number 1 overall pick. It was set in stone since September. We know damn well from the past 10 drafts, 20 drafts, the top guys aren't always the guaranteed best player. Exactly. Let's think about it. If Tennessee goes Abdul Carter, number 1, you're going to have your pick between Travis Hunter, Cam Ward, Shedeur Sanders. we talked about this yesterday on the NFL Draft Fanatic podcast. I went over my top 100 of the offensive players in this draft class, and I'm right with you. I'm low on Shedeur. I love Shedeur as a person, but as a true talent, there's a lot of things you need to discuss. If you're trying to take a quarterback, if you want to say Travis Hunter doesn't fit us, that's completely fine. You can make that decision. If you are going to go the quarterback route and Cam Ward is in your lap and you decide to take Shedeur Sanders, that is malpractice to me. If I were you guys, I'm taking Travis Hunter, and then once day 2 gets into the draft, yeah, you can take a quarterback. Then you can sign a Kirk Cousins, because let's be real, you guys are not there yet. This is a multi-year thing that you guys are going to have to go through to get your team back to the youthfulness and the absolute promise of what you guys could become. This isn't a 1-year fix for you guys. I'm scared you're going to draft Shedeur Sanders number 2 overall. Expect a 1-year fix. And we all know how that happened with Caleb Williams this year. Caleb Williams, no doubt in my mind, he'll be a great player one day. But I don't want Shedeur Sanders to get rushed if he gets drafted number 2 overall, let alone if Cam Ward's on the board.
It's like, I feel like they don't want to draft Travis because they know he gonna ask for a trade immediately. Like, in back of my mind, I just like the way I see how he move. If they pick up Travis, I feel like, of course, his marketing team, he know he gonna make money, so he gonna stay for like 2 years. But after that, in Cleveland, I just know he go ask for a trade because he want to go somewhere like New York or California. I really feel like he's trying to play for a California team. He's like one of them California type players. So yeah, I don't see him staying in Cleveland.
I think more than anything for Travis Hunter, I think he wants to play for a team that will genuinely let him try it, the 2-position thing. Now, we have seen, history has told us this doesn't work out. We've seen it sometimes where he'll stick fully at corner and play some snaps at wide receiver. And then you get into that conversation because wide receivers make way more money. So is he going to go full-time wide receiver and play part-time cornerback? I think he's one of these true players, unicorn players that has the stamina, the work ethic, the toughness for a guy that's not that big to genuinely play both sides of the ball. Are you going to do it at the level that they asked him to do in Colorado? Absolutely not. But I want him to go to a team that will give him at least 50% or more snaps on both sides of the ball because he's a true rare talent. Talk about receivers. He's the best receiver in this draft class. Don't at me. Don't talk to me. The ball skills are special. When you're talking about a cornerback, yeah, he's not the most complete cornerback prospect in the world, but when he's playing a flat zone coverage, he is probably the best cornerback at playing a Tampa 2 flat zone coverage. Can he have some susceptibilities in man-to-man coverage? Absolutely. He's 180 pounds, but tough as nails, athletic freak, can stick with anybody. Even when he loses reps, he comes back and bounces back like nothing happened. Perfect character guy, not a troublemaker, not a locker room cancer. I just want a team to give Travis Hunter an absolute chance to do it. And then if his body doesn't hold up, fine. You have an all-pro caliber wide receiver and a really damn good cornerback if you decide to put him at one or the other.
You got him best wide receiver in draft class?
I do, yes. But my receiver is a little bit weird. So we got the 4 guys that everybody knows: Travis, Tet, Burden, Abuka. For me, it's Travis Hunter, undoubtedly, and then Emeka Abuka as wide receiver 2 for me. I like Tet as 3 and Luther Burden as 4, but Emeka Abuka is my guy for the next best wide receiver.
What about, we already know running back. What's the boy from Boise State?
Genty.
Yeah, yeah, I like how his name said, man. Yeah, and I feel like with him, a lot of people, when you come from the small schools, they feel like you playing less talent. Actually, you playing more talent because them the players who want to get drafted. Because in Daymar, they have small school. They know they got to do double the work to get attention. So yeah. I don't like the media when he plays smaller school. Don't you know them dudes know? Okay, he about to be an NFL talent. Let me go ahead and clock him every play, especially on defense. Y'all, I was watching them get. They was trying to get him out of here because they know whoever can injure him. I'm just telling you, this realistic. If you've been in the locker room, you know how the athletes get down. Whoever can injure him or get the highlight of him, you automatically getting drafted or getting the media attention. So let's stop with the he ain't played. No, yes he did. I promise you, he played more time than y'all think. But him, yeah, I feel like he gonna be a beast. I feel like a lot of people need to say he need to watch his weight. It be sometimes he be looking like the stamina towards the like fourth, and I get, but he be running like he basically Boise State whole like offense for real. So, but I feel like a lot of people say he need to watch his weight, watch his stamina, and once he get that check, I feel you know where NFL team he go to, they gonna have him right.
But yeah,
Yeah,
they've had the card signed for months. They've had it signed since October.
exactly. He about to be a beast, man. You feel like he about to be like one of the next great running backs this decade?
He's my number 3 player on my draft board, and that's taking into account me putting running backs down a notch in my grading scale because it is the running back position at the end of the day. An amazingly deep draft class at running back this year, but Ashton Genty's just that much far and above. And it's very weird. He's what, 5'8", 5'10" inch. He's really like 5'9", really well built. But like you alluded to, the level of competition, everybody's like, oh, you played at Boise State. It don't matter. Turn on the tape. Every single game, especially against Oregon in week 2, you saw how dominant Ashton Genty was when he gets to the first level, the second level, the ability to just bounce off of blockers. It doesn't click. It doesn't make sense when you're watching the film. That guy should not be able to do that on the field. And not only did he did that against Oregon, but he continued to do that for the rest of the season. He did that into the playoff run when they clinched their spot in the championship game. And the only way he got contained was when Penn State put 8 and 9 in the box and had to force him to the outside and actually just give up everything else and say, Boise State, beat me with somebody else besides Genty. They completely loaded the box against Genty, and even then he still produced. So yes, I do think Ashton Genty steps in and becomes a top 10 running back in the NFL right away. And if he stays healthy at that stature, he's a true 3-down back. He can help you out in the receiving game. He's more than capable as a blocker. He might be a Pro Bowler year 1, and then watch out. He'll get to that AP All-Pro team sooner than you think.
Now, earlier you mentioned Cam Ward. That's the one I was thinking about. Cam, that's the one I want the Browns to get. Miami, right? Yeah, that's the one I want the Browns. What's your take on how you feel like a team? You feel like he gonna be like a college? Because I don't like to compare players. I like them to be separate. You feel like, but you feel like he gonna be like the next Kyler Murray or Russell Wilson? I feel like he played like Russ, but he got a little Kyler in him. So, what's your take on it?
I think it's a little bit of a mixture of both. And coming into this, coming into the summer, I did not expect Cam Ward to be my guy of this draft class. We looked at the quarterbacks from last year's draft class. We put Cam Ward in that class last year. He came out at one point, decided to come back and transfer to Miami. He would have been QB7, QB8 maybe in that draft class. But he really did take that step this year. And if you look at the continuous involvement of Cam Ward year after year, coming from a 0-star recruit, Incarnate Ward transferring to Washington State, the mental toughness, the character of this guy, his ability to get better year after year, the leader he is on the football field, he would be a bona fide top 10 player in this draft for me if he didn't make those 1 or 2 dumbass mistakes he makes a game. But I bet you he'd be the first person to tell you that that's completely on him and he will better himself for it. Will he be the perfect quarterback? No. This is not last year's draft class at quarterback. We can't hold it to that standard. But Cam Ward has definitely warranted himself as a first-round pick, and I think he's the only starting caliber quarterback to come out of this draft class this year.
Now, come on, man. You can't say that. Keep talking. What's the dumbass mistakes he be making?
Nah, he can make off-scripted plays very easily. It's a comfort for him. But it's when he puts his blinders on, he likes to drift away from protection. And once he gets out of the pocket, flip his hips 180, throwing full backside of the field to reads he shouldn't even be throwing. You should not be throwing diagonal across the field unless a guy is absolutely naked with 20 yards, like nobody in 20 yards in front of him. Cam Ward likes to force things every now and then because he has so much talent and he has so much ability to make those plays. But it's not a guy that's going to continuously make those mistakes game after game. He'll make that mistake, and then he'll flush it, move on, and go back to the quarterback that we all know and love from Cam Ward. So if he just gets rid of those 1 or 2 what are you doing plays a game, it's not to the Will Levis extent we saw this year. It's a little bit below that. But if he gets rid of that, and I know damn well he has the mental makeup to do that, I think he can be a top 15 quarterback in the NFL before his rookie contract ends.
Let me go ahead and ask you a question, man. You know, being today's up and coming scout in today's environment, social media basically it be like projecting players where they're gonna be at. You know, sometimes the media can hurt and help a player at the same time. And you know, being a scout, most young scouts, they go all they always play the safe route instead of going the, just all out route. Like that, I feel like most scouts don't want to take chances nowadays because they want job security. So I understand, but what made you want to become a potential NFL scout in today, and how was it being a scout in today's environment?
So for me, it's something that I've always been natural to doing. I've been one of those up and coming middle school, high school kids that loved sports, of course, but I was really into how the front offices work. For me, it's a big chess piece. It's a big puzzle piece, and every little piece has to fit together in order for everything to work. Because at the end of the day, only 1 out of 32 teams do what they're supposed to do at the end of the year, and every little piece has to fall in place. If one little piece is out of place, like the Ravens, you get eliminated in the championship game, you get eliminated in the division game. To me, it is the biggest team environment, the biggest, everybody has to work together for one collective goal. Nothing, no politics, no outside world stuff affects it. It is all men trying to work towards one same common collective goal. It doesn't matter who you are, where you're from. It does not matter to me. And that's what I love about the game of football. So it was something that I was going to do no matter what, if I decided to go down this path or not, just self scout on my own, do it in my free time, because what I get enjoyment out of. But I've been doing this very seriously for the past 3 years. I've gone to the scouting academy. I'm in 2 different internships right now. Still not where I need to be. I'm only 21, so I got a lot of time ahead of me. But told myself I'm going to do all in my power to give myself the best shot of getting myself into an NFL front office before a set age. And then once I hit that age, if I don't hit it, I gave it all I had and I have no regrets. But while I'm young, I got this opportunity and I got what I have that I know I have. I'm going after it and I'm giving everything I got.
Now, when it comes to the competition, scouting is always competition. Everybody want to make sure. I don't want, in case in the future, I don't want you to say nothing wrong. I'm gonna say,
Nah, you
I feel
good.
like it'd be a lot of cutthroat going on,
Oh,
a
yeah.
lot of backstabbing. Every scout want to be, I found him. That's my boy. That's my player. So you feel like, especially in today's society, you feel like in your let's say class of scouting, you feel like you be seeing that a lot, or you feel like everybody just be being them.
I feel like you're going to see that in every environment you're in, whether it be NFL, college, side pro leagues, UFL. You're going to see that selfishness out of everybody because it's a business at the end of the day. Everybody's going to want to better themselves, not think of
Mm-hmm.
the team first. But for me, if I get into an NFL office, I could give a shit less if I'm the guy that does find this guy in the 5th round. He ends up being a starting player for 10 years. No, to me, it's all about the team environment. I love working together with people for one same collective goal. Doesn't matter where you're from, who you come from, where you were raised, the whole 9 yards. Just the team camaraderie, the team aspect to me is the biggest thing for me. I could give a shit less if the credit goes to me or not. Just the position I'm in right now and where I could be is more than enough of a blessing for me. So to call myself a guy that finds a guy and then boast about it and then try to backstab someone, no, I'd rather stay true to my character as a person. And if that costs me a job, so be it.
I respect that. In our generation, because I'm 22. In our generation, it's
You know,
like I feel like a lot of people got this like you owe me mentality instead
oh,
of we did this together. So they always be trying to. They always start like y'all equal, but then I gotta be above you instead of we did this. They gotta be I made you. It makes it like a narcissist basically. They just call it what it is. I made you. I found you. Or I created you. Just any kind of crazy stuff. So do you believe like when you get in possession, how will you be able to tolerate that? Like, let's say it's somebody up and coming, or it's somebody the same status as you. Would you be able to? Is you got to tell them out the gate, like, man, we work together, or let's make sure we equal? Like, how would you operate among that? It's a cutthroat environment.
So I'm never going to change myself as a person for anybody. The way I'm on this call is going to be the way I am if I enter an NFL front office and I got to work with people. I absolutely understand that people are going to want to work for themselves so they can better themselves. That's a part of the business. That's no problem with me. But I'm not going to let that affect how I work day to day on my operation. It's not going to affect how I treat people in that operation as well. I'm going to treat everybody equally, just like I do as a regular human because, yes, we love this shit. We do this on a day-to-day basis. You love your podcast. You love creating content for social media. But at the end of the day, this isn't the end of the world. We got families behind us. We got real life after this stuff. So, yes, it is a business. People are going to be cutthroat. People are going to be backstabbers. But if that changes who you are as a person so you can better yourself and you can get a higher up status, that's what irks me, but I won't let it affect how I treat people in a working environment. Absolutely not.
Okay. Well, I'm going to ask you the next question. What teams do you believe need to go all out this draft or need to trade for future draft picks?
So we'll start with the second question. This draft class has three guys, if you want to include Ashton Genty as true blue chip guys, Abdul Carter and Travis Hunter. If you want to take those guys, that's absolutely fine. What I'm scared is some of these teams in the top 10 of the NFL draft are going to reach for players instead of trading back and collecting value. Because this is a draft class where day 2 and the beginning of day 3 are going to be the highlights. This draft is incredibly deep. Look at the running backs, you look at the wide receivers, you look at the linebackers, you look at the defensive ends, interior defensive. I can keep going on. This draft class is very deep in rounds 2 through 4. What I'm scared is teams are going to try to trade up because they need a quarterback really badly. A lot of teams need quarterbacks. They're going to trade up and try to reach for one. Love Jalen Milroe to death. I can see a world where he goes in the first round, but I don't want him to. He's not ready yet. Jackson Dart, love him as a prospect. He's not ready for it right now. He should not go first round. Will he go? Probably, because there's that many teams that need quarterback. So I'm scared teams are going to try to make that jump, try to win now when this isn't the draft to do it. And teams that need to go all out this draft, for me, it's a homer. But Baltimore absolutely should go all out for this draft. They're in the perfect position. They're going to be losing people in free agency. So this draft class could be the time where Eric DeCosta really fills out all the holes that he needs to on this roster. And I can also see a team like the Buffalo Bills really attack this draft class really wholeheartedly because they saw how close they were. And if you saw Josh Allen in that Super Bowl, I guarantee you they give you a better damn fight than what the Chiefs did. So I think Brandon Beane and Eric DeCosta know they are this close away, and this might be the draft class to go and attack.
So what teams you think need to go all out, like in the top 10?
None. None.
None.
This is not the draft to do it. Last year's draft, the top 25, you can go all out. Last year's draft class was very top heavy. We won't see that caliber of Caleb Williams, Jaden Daniels, Drake May, Malik Neighbors, Brock Bowers, Marvin Harrison. We won't see that in a top 10 in a while. We can't hold that to every draft class like this year's draft class. This draft class got really good players, but when you start getting outside of the Travis Hunter, Abdul Carter, there's a couple other guys that I really do like in this draft class, but it's not the draft class in the top 10 to go all out because this draft isn't going to be able to fix your team in the first round. When you talk about round 2, round 3, round 4, yes, this is the draft to do it because it's incredibly deep. But top 10, you're going to see a lot of reaches in the first round, I promise you.
Okay, so who got the number 1 pick, if you know?
Titans.
Okay, even though you already said they don't need to go all out, they go. What player you think they go draft? Like honestly,
who they should draft or who I think they're going to draft Cam Ward. Okay. Who they should draft is Abdul Carter. I don't think they're ready yet to make that full quarterback commitment. Their roster isn't ready to take that guy on. We saw this year with New England, Drake May. I think everybody doesn't have a question that Drake May is going to be a very successful quarterback in the NFL. But you saw the damn roster he had. It was genuinely the worst roster in the NFL, and you are a Cleveland Browns fan. That's hard. Like, you understand. I don't think the Titans are ready yet. I think their new general manager understands that. Taking best player available, they should go Abdul Carter or Travis Hunter. But this is a quarterback draft class where really, in my opinion, it's Cam Ward and then everybody else. So I can see a world where they go Cam Ward, but they should go a guy like Abdul Carter or Travis Hunter.
Okay. So you feel like with the Titans, them number 1 teams, they sometimes they hit, sometimes they miss. Mm-hmm. Let's say they do draft Cam Ward, like you said, they probably whoever they draft. You feel like that player gonna be able to turn the team around, or you feel like the Titans gonna be like we got us a quarterback, so let's just like how you think the Titans are gonna do it like 2 or 3 years?
So if the Titans go ahead and draft Cam Ward for this example, I think they're going to be fine at the quarterback position for the next 5 to 10 years. That's no question in my mind. What we saw last year in free agency was the Titans go all out, bringing in guys from the Kansas City Chiefs, L'Jarius Sneed, Tony Pollard on a big contract, Ernest Jones from the Rams. They shelled out a lot of money in free agency to give Will Levis the best supporting cast. They kind of made their little all-in push last year. They have the first overall pick in the draft, so we obviously saw how that went. They are not in a position to be able to do that again this year. That's why I'm leaning best player available on the board. But if they draft Cam Ward, you're going to see highlights and lowlights of Cam Ward in the Tennessee Titans uniform in his rookie year. But I think if they get better people around him in year 2 of Cam Ward, draft well again, then you'll start to see the Tennessee Titans start forming their way back into a playoff team and really a consistent playoff team if Cam Ward hits at the number 1 pick. But they're not ready this year just yet. Same thing like the Cleveland Browns at number 2. Same thing like the Giants at number 3. They are the number 1 pick for a reason. It's not a situation like Chicago where they got gifted the number 1 pick for Bryce Young and then still had the number 9 overall pick. They had a position to go all in. I don't think the Titans are in a position to do that.
The Browns and Titans were both 3-14. The sad part is about the AFC South is the Texans won the conference with a 10-7 record. So it ain't like this back in the day with the Texans and the Colts always like 10 plus games. They had Peyton and Schaub, how you say his last name, and Matt Schaub and all them. So you feel like with the Titans, you feel like, because you know AFC South ain't never been really competitive. You feel like year or 2, they're going to be up top. Cause you know, let's just be honest. The AFC South is just not competitive.
It's the worst division in NFL. Everybody knows that. It's not even close. I think the Titans' timeline is a little bit sped up because they are in the AFC South. They're in such a bad position, just like the Jaguars are. But since you are in the AFC South, I don't think it's this year. But year 2 of Cam Ward, you're genuinely competing for the top spot in the AFC South, especially if the Texans don't address their needs at wide receiver, get CJ Stroud playing to the level we saw him play his rookie year. There are a lot of variables in that division, and I think the Titans, with 1 year of good drafting and developing, don't expect shit this year, Titans fans. I don't care if you guys win 9 games, 4 games. I don't care. If you draft Cam Ward at number 1, year 2 is when you're going to start to see if Cam Ward is your guy or not. Even though it's the AFC South, realistically, it's going to be the Houston Texans again, even if they finish with a 9-8 record.
Is that your phone?
Yeah, that's my phone on the side.
I'm thinking that's confusing. Like, what's going on?
I'm through it on.
Speaking of the Texans, I'm glad. See, over here, and y'all can tell we just like to be all over. We go get back. But the Texans, CJ Stroud, do you feel like it was just like he was a young rookie with a lot of like, what do people say, engine or a motor to him? So it's like he was just going, but now like you like year 2, about to be year 3. You feel like it's not like the media hype done died down. You feel like CJ Stroud still that dude for the Texans.
I feel like CJ Stroud is still a very good quarterback in the NFL. I think his rookie year kind of caught us all off guard because we knew CJ Stroud was going to be solid no matter what, but we didn't expect him to be that good. This year, he kind of brought it down a little bit too much, where he should be kind of in the middle of where his rookie year was and where this year was for him. His mental processing wasn't there. His accuracy wasn't there like it was his rookie year. I think CJ Stroud is more of a game manager than we initially thought his rookie year. But when you talk about game managers, he's probably one of the best game managers in the NFL. And you can absolutely win a Super Bowl with that. Trust me, I've ran with Joe Flacco before. You can win a Super Bowl off of that. That's the most extreme scenario. I mean, you can make the arguments for Jalen Hurts as well. Jalen Hurts, tough as nails. I'm not going to question a thing about Jalen Hurts. But you could put 15 other quarterbacks in that offense, let's be real, and they're probably winning the Super Bowl. I see the same world with CJ Stroud. I think CJ Stroud is an absolutely really good quarterback in this NFL, but I think his rookie year kind of like set his expectations for us fans, media, personnel, set his expectations a little bit too high where they should have been the whole time.
What's the other quarterback? What's his name? Trevor Lawrence. I feel like he was overrated when he came in the league. I feel like that Clemson team after Deshaun Watson, that's when you could tell they was hanging by a thread with talent. It really was the defense who was carrying them for the next 2 or 3 years after Deshaun Watson era.
Mm-hmm.
So in my opinion, I always had Trevor Lawrence be overrated. But what you feel about Trevor Lawrence? Like, you feel like his time up, or he still got some left?
It's very confusing with Trevor Lawrence. So his time's not going to be up because he signed that mega contract. So no matter what, you're going to see Trevor Lawrence starting for the Jacksonville Jaguars next year, and then starting for a team after that if he moves on from Jacksonville, no matter what. I think it's a tricky case with Trevor Lawrence. He's got all the talent in the world, elite arm strength, can make any throw in the book, but his accuracy is not where it needs to be. His accuracy and anticipation should be average to better now in this stage in his NFL career, and he's missing way too many routine throws that he needs to throw on time. Do the Jags have the best offensive line in the world? No. Do they have the best weapons in the world? No. Did he have to deal with Urban Meyer as his head coach year one? Yes. You feel bad for the guy. He's been through a lot of shit in Jacksonville. Let's be real. He's also been injured and beat to death. So that guy is tough. You don't have to question his toughness, his character, his makeup, anything. I'm talking pure quarterback. He misses way too many easy short to intermediate throws that he knows that he needs to hit. And I think that's what's separating Trevor Lawrence from being that guy that he has in him. It's not a talent issue with Trevor Lawrence at all. It's the accuracy and anticipation in the short and intermediate parts of the field. He'll show it for 2 games at a time, and then he'll go on a 6-game cold streak. There's no consistency right now in the past 2 years with Trevor Lawrence. But he has the talent to figure it out. So, Liam Cohen, you've been able to fix a bunch of quarterbacks in the world. Here's your new project, Trevor Lawrence. Good luck, buddy.
Another quarterback that was in his draft, Justin Fields. In my opinion, I feel like Justin, Chicago being Chicago, they trying to act like he didn't want to be there. He did want to be there, or he was overrated, but he can play. Even though, like you said with Trevor, the O-line wasn't really there, but you know how they do the media. My people put a lot of this on the media because they you know how they flip. So with Justin Fields, you feel like, because he going to start, I feel like the Pittsburgh Steelers, with his contract up, they going to re-sign him. Like, if they don't, he going to start. So do you feel like with Justin Fields, he still got something left in the tank, or he going to start becoming a backup quarterback?
I think he has a lot left in the tank, and it's kind of weird. Justin Fields coming out in the draft and then starting for the Chicago Bears his rookie year. I think he was one of those quarterback prospects that has unlimited upside as a quarterback, but he got rushed into a starting role as well. He didn't have the time to fully develop as a true quarterback at the next level. He didn't make that transition that we saw with Lamar Jackson his rookie year, where he sat for the first 9 games, started in place of Joe Flacco, and then he started to take over the offense, but he still wasn't there as a passer. It took him years for Lamar Jackson to learn how to be a consistent passer at the quarterback level. I think Justin Fields is starting just to figure that out right now. We never thought he would be the runner that he is in the NFL coming out of college. We thought his arm strength was absolutely unbelievable, can scramble, can make plays, but this is a real athlete at the quarterback position, and I think he's sat for long enough. I think he's had a refreshment and environment in Pittsburgh, and if he doesn't stay in Pittsburgh, I guarantee you Justin Fields will be starting for a team week 1 coming up in this NFL season. So it will be interesting to see if that accuracy and mental processing is there, because that's the issue with him. He's not able to make full field reads. He's not able to work on the second and third reads, go backside, get the timing out on the top of his drops. It's very messy with the footwork and timing and anticipation with Justin Fields. So I think he's sat for long enough, and I think he's talented enough. And I know he's a damn good character as well. He will get another shot to start quarterback, whether it's for the Steelers or somebody else. And I think he's going to do good. And that's not just me being biased and hoping he does good. I genuinely think he'll do good.
This is my last one before we go to the next question. I don't know if you're an Aaron Rodgers fan. Dude, like 50 years old with Tom Brady. I call it the Brett Favre effect. I feel like he going to adjust like Brett Favre, so he might be signed with Minnesota. I don't know Minnesota. Y'all might get y'all.
Just imagine. That'd be crazy. That'd be weird.
What's your thoughts on Aaron Rodgers? You think he definitely needs lifestyle, but if he do go the Brett Favre effect and go to Minnesota, how you think he gonna do?
I don't think he's going to Minnesota. I'll give you a team where I think he's going. The Los Angeles Rams are in a very interesting spot because they're having contract extension talks with Matthew Stafford right now. The quarterback free agency is going to be held up on if Matthew Stafford gets extended or not because they're trading Cooper Kupp, his best friend. He's older. The Rams are going to want to start thinking about their future years beyond Matthew Stafford. If they can't get a contract extension figured out, Stafford's getting traded. And I don't see a better landing spot for Aaron Rodgers to finish out his career with Sean McVay in Los Angeles for 1 year while they draft somebody and Aaron Rodgers is able to develop that guy to be the future starter for the Rams. And I think that's probably one of the only teams where Aaron Rodgers can go to and he can genuinely be competitive and fight his way into a playoff spot. Because, yes, Aaron Rodgers is on the last legs of his career, but I don't think he wants to go out like the way he did in New York. I think he envisioned way better things for New York, and for one reason or another, it didn't work out. That's how the NFL works, especially when you were with a team so long and you decide to jump ship at the age of 38, 39. Aaron Rodgers still has talent left in the tank. Don't get it wrong. He had a shitty year. Everybody saw it. But that last game in Week 18 when he played in his home stadium, you got vintage Rodgers back. And I think he started to fully get comfortable off that Achilles injury. I think he's got one more year left in him. And if Stafford doesn't stay as a Ram, I expect Aaron Rodgers to start for the Los Angeles Rams if Stafford moves on and be that bridge quarterback on his final year of his career.
Okay, because, yeah, in my opinion, I feel like I'm tired of quarterbacks, like, getting 40 and 38 and 39. Like, bro, get them young dudes a chance. Like, when you get to, like, 37, 38, you just need to retire. Like, get them young dudes a chance, man. Like, you've been playing for 17, 15 years. Like, NFL stands for not for long. We know what it really stands for. So, come on, get them young dudes a chance. Like, Aaron Rodgers, you know what I mean? Young quarterbacks couldn't play for the Jets. Probably would have did better because, they got something they got to prove. Like, man, I hate when Brady and when y'all dudes be like 40, 50 years old, like, man, just give it up, man. Get them young dudes, like, I'm mad them coaches be going along with. I get why politics, politics, man, I'll be like, dude, get to the side. You 40 years old. Let me throw in one of these young dudes who may be our franchise quarterback because, anything can happen. Like, just stop doing it.
I will say for Brady, though, Brady was the exception. Brady, by far and away, the best pocket passer we have ever seen in our lifetimes. And we took advantage of it because we just thought he was going to fail. He was the ultimate winner. We did the natural thing as all fans did, hate the shit out of him. But looking back on his film, especially when he was in Tampa Bay, had a lot of life left in him, like top 5 quarterback life. And this dude won an MVP when he was 40 still with New England. So Tom Brady was the exception. And I understand, this is Aaron Rodgers' last year. They need to move on. They're going to have to find somebody else to replace Rodgers. But Rodgers is also a top 10 quarterback. And we're not talking about a 40-year-old guy that's been hanging on the league for so long. Aaron Rodgers is a top 10 quarterback in NFL history. And he's a very polarizing figure. A lot of people hate him, and he had a shitty year this year. But because of that familiarity and how smart he is, he's going to get another shot at it if he wants.
Back to the NFL draft. I know I heard you say, it's a lot of talent in this draft or next year. We basically had some talk. Who's the sleepers in the draft? Like, who's like your top 5 or anybody that you feel like is a sleeper? Like multiple people. I want you to name multiple people. Like, who's sleepers in this draft?
You want offense or defense? I can give you 2 from each side.
You can do all of them.
All right, we'll do offense. We'll do 2 players on offense. We'll do 1 skill position. We'll go to the running back position. Everybody knows Ashton Genty, Travion Henderson, Quinshon Judkins, the top echelon running backs in this draft class. One guy that I really like, and he is my RB6 in this draft class, is Devin Neal, the running back out of Kansas. Absolutely dominant past couple seasons for Kansas. Think prime Philadelphia Miles Sanders in that way. The guy is able to work those zone concepts, get to the second level, absolutely elusive as heck, can catch the ball really efficient out of the backfield, also has power to his game as well, really smart, can read in between the tackles. A guy that's going to not get talked about a lot because this running back class is ridiculous. You will see here in a couple months this running back class is absolutely ridiculous. Devin Neal is my guy when you talk about running backs in this draft class. And offensive line, Everybody talks about Will Campbell, Kelvin Banks, the whole 9 yards. For me, I went down to the Senior Bowl this year in Mobile, Alabama, and there was an offensive lineman that goes to North Dakota State named Gray Zabel, who absolutely dominated the Senior Bowl. A guy I was super low on because I didn't think he had the power profile to hold up on the at the NFL level. I shut up in the first 10 minutes of watching him in pass protection. The best pass protector in that class, at the Reese's Bowl, the best offensive lineman at the Reese's Bowl, to be quite frank with you, had probably the best week out of any player there, out of any position. A guy who went to an FCS school, he'll get picked in the top 40 picks. So if you see a North Dakota State guy get drafted in the first round, you're like, who the hell is this guy? I promise you he's getting drafted for a reason. He's not going to be a bust. We'll go on to the defensive side of the ball. I'll give you one safety who's a big commodity name, but he's my safety one in the class over Malachi Starks. Nick Amanawari, the safety out of South Carolina, 6'3", 227 pounds, absolute freak athlete, elite athlete, can run under a 4.4 40, has a 40-inch vertical leap, if I do believe. He is one of the strongest safeties in the NFL if you put him in there right away. Really smart, too, can cover in the deep half, can cover in the box, really versatile. A lot of guys are going to have Malachi Starks as a blue chip top 10 player in this draft, and Malachi Starks is really good. I think Nick Amanawari is just a little bit better. And one really big sleeper that is my guy, and I will die on this hill on, this edge class is ridiculous. You're going to see names like Abdul Carter, Michael Williams, James Pierce, Mike Green, Nick Squarton, Shamar Stewart, I can keep going. This draft is that deep. My edge 5 in this draft class is Braden Swinson, the edge rusher out of LSU. Underrated guy. Not a lot of people have heard about him. But when you talk about guys that not the super athlete compared to the rest of these guys, but smart and clutch, can guard any run play, can really be effective as a pass rusher, can win with speed, can win with power, can win with finesse, can win with use of hands, can win with swipes, can win with counters, has a full arsenal of toolboxes in there. And the one thing that Braden Swinson has made his mark on me, when it gets to those 4th and 1 scenarios, got to have it for the defense. 3rd downs, got to get a big sack. A lot of these guys in this draft class, they do it half of the time. Braden Swinson is always making a play on the ball in the most clutch moments when it needs to happen. So a guy you're going to hear on day 2 of the draft and is going to get pushed down because his edge rusher class is absolutely ridiculous. But Braden Swinson will be a starting edge rusher for the next 10 years in the NFL. And he'll work his way to a Pro Bowl one day, I best believe. But this edge class is ridiculous, so he's going to get pushed down the list.
Okay. You got any more sleepers?
Let me give you one more before we start wrapping things up. What position you want? Just throw a position at me.
Let's do linebacker. What kind of linebacker?
So over on the Draft Fanatic podcast, we covered running backs and linebackers for our position group every Monday, me and Jake. So you can go check that out on Draft Professor Twitter. We went over 40 running backs on both sides of the ball. This linebacker class, it's good. A lot of depth in this linebacker class. We're going to see Jalen Walker's name, obviously. Jahad Campbell is my guy in this draft class, a guy that can play edge rusher, a guy that can play linebacker, junior out of Alabama, freak athlete, can cover sideline to sideline, can play good man coverage at a really good height, has just a well-rounded individual. You can line him up in multiple places, and he has a true argument for me to be better than Jalen Walker in this draft class as linebacker 1. But either or, those guys are both top 15 prospects for me. But Jahad Campbell is a guy that I was super high on in October. And then once November and December started coming around, you started seeing all the mainstream media talk about Jahad Campbell. And you're like, where'd this Alabama linebacker come from? Jahad Campbell is that dude.
Okay, we got one more topic. And then we gonna wrap it up. Super Bowl. I know we talked about a little before the show started. What's your thoughts on it?
I know where the Chiefs are going in the NFL draft. You want to guess? Tackle. God, they need a tackle. Patrick Mahomes played a shitty game. Do not get it wrong. The Eagles clicked on everything. Even when Saquon was stopped, they were able to hit every throw. Even early in the game when they got shitty penalty calls called on them, they were able to bounce back and be really efficient on offense. Mahomes never had a chance. And I'm not one to sit here and vouch for Mahomes and give him all the excuses in the world. But when you have an all-pro left guard having to play left tackle because you have nobody else on your roster that's capable of playing solid left tackle, that's a real issue for a back-to-back two-time Super Bowl champion team going into a three-peat. And right tackle, Jawan Taylor as well. Solid at best, but when you talk about a guy with a lack of foot speed, we see it every week one when the Chiefs are one of the first games on, and you're looking at the right tackle position, the guy's jumping off sides, and everybody in the world sees it, and you're like, why are they not calling a penalty on this guy? Yeah, well, that guy's been trying to make it for the past 3 years with a big contract in Kansas City. I think he leads the league in penalties as well. Just you can upgrade at the tackle position if you are the Chiefs. That was the real hinder for them in the Super Bowl. And then once the Eagles got to that point where they had a real grip on it, real grip on the game, that post shot to Devonta Smith, talk about a dagger, man. That shit was a dagger. Nick Sirianni was egging on Kellen Moore, the offensive coordinator, to call that play. You normally wouldn't call a play action PA post up 30-6 in the third quarter of the Super Bowl, but they did. And they put the dagger in the Chiefs' heart. And even if you're not a Philadelphia Eagles fan, I think almost everybody in the world besides people in Kansas loved that play and what the Eagles did in the Super Bowl.
You don't like the Chiefs, do you?
I got to deal with them every year. No.
Oh, my God. All right, man. Well, go ahead, Raphael. Go ahead and tell them they can find you at, man.
Y'all can go follow me on Twitter at juice_T23. Like we said at the beginning, we got daily draft content coming at you guys. Just came out with my top 100 players on the offensive side of the ball. Next Monday on the NFL Draft Fanatic podcast, you're going to get my top 100 players on the defensive side of the ball. Then you're going to get my full top 100 Big Board 1.0. Got over 250 players graded so far. We got another 125 down to go. Just a continual grind once draft season's got here. And then once we get into draft season, you're not going to find better content than you'll find over on my Twitter page and with all the rest of the draft professors we work with. So make sure to follow us on Twitter so you can get all the notes of what you need to know in the NFL draft. And also, big shout out for TJ having me on this podcast. It was an absolute pleasure of doing this. If you haven't yet, go show some love to TJ and the rest of his podcast he's got going on. This is only the beginning for him. And he's 30 episodes in. So, you better hop on the bandwagon now.
I ain't never heard that before. Thanks, man. Yeah, I'm gonna have Josh on post draft so he can be talking crazy about what teams effed up and who did good. So you definitely gonna see Josh again post draft. Y'all go follow me at everything except Facebook. I'm never getting on Facebook. I had somebody keep asking me. I'm on everything except Facebook. So go ahead and find Snapchat too. But come on. Instagram, Twitter, y'all LinkedIn, y'all know the major ones. Definitely YouTube. Y'all go subscribe to Josh. Subscribe to me, definitely. So y'all subscribe to my YouTube page. It's been TJ McKinley Podcast, episode 30. That's our milestone. We reached number 30. As y'all know, I wanted to get there. TJ McKinley Podcast, episode 30. We say we want how you want, whatever we want. Y'all go ahead, like, subscribe, retweet, comment, and thank y'all for watching.